miss you. I miss seeing many of you. I know things are different this year. 2020 is quite the year. And I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If your Thanksgiving was anything like the Davenport Thanksgiving, it looked a little different this year. There's some empty seats around the table, and there certainly is some disappointment in that. But nevertheless, it was still a joyful night. I pray and hope that it was the same for you and your loved ones. And thinking about Thanksgiving, I think about cranberries, right? Cranberries are staple Thanksgiving. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but have you ever eaten a raw cranberry? And if you have, you'll never forget it, because those suckers are hard and bitter, right? It takes a lot of work, a lot of intention to take a cranberry and turn it into something delicious that you can have with your turkey, a delicious sauce or a delicious cranberry relish. And I'll tell you, my mom, she makes a killer cranberry relish that I look forward to each and every Thanksgiving. And she, thankfully, was able to be there this year, and she delivered once again with that wonderful cranberry relish. But again, it takes a lot of intention to take that hard, bitter berry and turn it into something delicious. And as I was trying to prepare for this devotional, I was really struggling, because in 2020, where do you even start in trying to be encouraging to your brothers and sisters in Christ? Don't worry about that, it's just a screaming kid. That's perfectly normal in 2020. Where do you even start this year in trying to encourage one another? And I was really struggling with it. And one day my wife had mentioned to me about bitterness, and I really thought about it, prayed about it, spent quite a bit of time, and I realized that for me, as a Christian man, I think that generally bitterness is really kind of one of the things I've been struggling with. There's a lot of disappointment this year, a lot of things that I'd like to do that I can't do, a lot of missed opportunities, and it's disappointing. If I could sum up 2020 in one word, I would say disappointment pretty much nails it. And it reminded me of that cranberry at the Thanksgiving table, and I'm going to circle back to that. So let's define bitterness. I looked it up. Another word for bitterness is resentfulness, or holding on to something, showing feelings of intense animosity, hatred, or even anger. There's a lot of hatred and a lot of anger out there in the world today, isn't there? Resentment or vindictiveness, wanting to get back at someone, unforgiving, holding a grudge, described as feelings resulting from something that is difficult to accept. My gosh, is this year difficult to accept? Yikes. So again, if I could sum up this year, I would say disappointment almost hits me right at the core. So what does the Bible say about bitterness? Well, I'll tell you, it actually says a lot if you research it and you start diving into the Word on the subject of bitterness. The Bible has a lot to say. We're only going to focus on 2 verses today, Hebrews 12:15 and Ephesians 4:31-32. In Hebrews, we are told, look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many. In this verse, there's 3 things that stand out to me, just kind of smack me in the face. The first, bitterness is poisonous. And what does poison do? It kills. That's what it's designed to do. Second, bitterness is described as a root. And what do roots do? They grow, right? Those weeds in your garden, they grow unless you deal with them. The third piece, bitterness, it doesn't just impact me. It doesn't just impact you. It corrupts many. It spreads. Bitterness in my heart it'll flow down to my son Henry or my daughter Claire. It'll flow out to my friends and family, to my wife, my coworkers. You see, my disappointments and your disappointments, if left unchecked, unfortunately will turn into resentment. And with it, jealousy, dissension, in immorality. So man, Spencer, you're a downer. What do we do? Okay? What do we do? Ephesians 4:31 tells us, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. So what do we do with the root of bitterness? We rip it out. Just like that weed in your tomato garden. You rip it out of there. You might say, well, that's easier said than done, Spencer. Like, you don't know what I've been through this year. You're right. I don't. I know what I've been through. And there's been disappointments. It hasn't been so terribly bad. I don't know what you've been through. But I want to encourage you. And how you can rip out that root of bitterness in your heart, if it's there, is you choose joy. It's simply that. You choose joy. You choose joy over the alternative. And joy starts with Jesus. I was reminded of this at Thanksgiving. We have this little tradition that right before we sit down for the Thanksgiving meal, we go around to each family member, even the kids, no matter how young, how old, and everyone says what they are thankful or grateful for this past year. And you can imagine 2020, maybe some struggled with coming up with something. And we all told each other what we were thankful and grateful for. And we got to my sister-in-law, Dawn, who, by the way, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Dawn. You don't look a day over 25. We get to Dawn, and Dawn says that she was grateful that no matter what, through trials and tribulations, challenges throughout this year, that our family has chosen joy. And it kind of just hit me right in the heart. I'm like, she's right. And it was so nice to be reminded that it's a choice to choose joy. And I'm proud that our family has chosen joy. And so I'd like to close, how, kind of circling back, how do you take that bitter, hard cranberry and you turn it into a sweet sauce, a sweet relish that is a complement to everything around it? You have to make a choice. You have to choose. You have to show intention to take that berry and to transform it into something else. And the only way you're going to do that in life is by choosing joy, and that means choosing Jesus. So I want to encourage you, whether you've been walking with the Lord your entire life, or you just decided today to follow Jesus, I want to encourage you to continue to choose Him over the alternative. Continue to choose joy. I hope this is encouraging to you, and as we continue through this year, which is one for the books, I want to just encourage you to choose joy. Thank you, and God bless.